Toggle button. Hello everyone. We're going to speak about toggle buttons in this video. The toggle button gives us two options. Well, technically it gives two options to the user. It will be on or off. That's the position of a toggle button. The thing is, you define what needs to be done whenever the user turns the toggle button to the on position. It is easy to use, so we'll go to Android Studio and we'll give it a go, see it in practice, because you know what? Time is running. Okay, so we had a project before. Let's continue this project and we will add a toggle button. Now you can see the toggle button under the button section. And I'll just drag a toggle button and drop it under the image view. The layout width of the toggle button is match parent. I'll change it to wrap content. And it's centered horizontally. Now you know that because layout gravity of the linear layout is center horizontally. And now the toggle button will basically have two positions, two options, if you will. I will define what will happen in the on position as well as in the off position. So, what can we make it do when it takes the on position? For example, when it's flipped on, we can make it hide this image, and when it's flipped off, we can show the image again. Also, I'm going to want to change the text of the text view to images hidden when toggle button is in the on position. Okay, so after that, I will change the text of the text view to image is shown when toggle button is in the off position. So let's do this. Before we start, we can change the text of the toggle button. Where do I do that? Well, you know that we've all changed all of the text of the buttons from text attributes, but we're not going to do that for this toggle button. There's another text attribute, and it is text off and text on. Pretty handy. So we will define a text in the text off section when the position of the toggle button is off. And also we can define a text when the position of the toggle button is on. And I will write hide image for the text off and show image for text on. So also we're going to need to give a name to this ID and to this toggle button. In other words, we need to give it an ID. So I will give toggle button show as an ID. So now I can go to the Java code section. Now, first of all, I will need to define this toggle button on the Java side. I will write toggle button and toggle button again. Now, of course, you can give it another name if you want to, but then after that, we will define its ID inside the onCreate method. And I will write here toggle button equals find view by ID, and inside the parentheses, r.id.toggle button show. And in order to do the operations on the toggle button, I need to add a listener. Now, normally I would just add a click listener, but for a toggle button, I will add checked change listener. So I'll write it here, toggle button dot set on checked change listener, and new component button dot on checked change listener. And I will write my code inside the onChecked change method. So when the checked position of the button is changed, the listener will detect this change and then apply the codes that I wrote here. Now, it can take two positions, of course, checked or unchecked, or on or off. So it means that when the toggle button is on, it takes the checked, and the toggle button is off, it takes the unchecked position. So I'll just write it here that if it's checked, and inside the brackets, I will hide image. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, if you remember correctly, or if I remember correctly, we defined the image view here before, and its name was image. So I will write here image.setVisibility view.invisible. Now also, I will want to change the text of the text view. We have defined text view here already, and its name was, you remember, don't rewind, result. So I'll just write it here, result.set text image is hidden. Okay? So after that, we can write the else condition. So that means that when the toggle button takes the off position again, I will write here image.setVisibility view.visible. Also, result.set text image is shown. Okay, so let's run it and see if it's working or not. And now the application's open. So you see here on the toggle button, the text is hide image. When I click the toggle button, image is hidden, and text of the text view is changed. Cool. Also, the text of the toggle button is changed. So when I click it again, the image is shown, and text of the text view changed again. Also, the text of the toggle button is changed to the hide image. So that's, I don't know, I think it's easy. I hope that you think it's easy too. But in any event, it is enough for this particular video. I've got another one coming up, so see you then.